What's up, you beautiful Redditors? Hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. Welcome to the RNEWS evening show. And let's just jump into it. From r/world news. Anti-gay street preachers in Vancouver break leg of man challenging them. Possible hate crime charges coming. I stood up to anti-gay evangelical bullies in the West End. And they purposefully broke my leg for the trouble. I'm going to have metal plates in my leg for the rest of my life. What would Jesus do? Jesus flipped tables and chased the money lenders with whips, so he was kind of all over the place, depending on what was happening. Jesus sounds like a badass. I should read the Bible. Maybe I'll just watch Indiana Jones. That part is badass, but there's a lot of genocide committed and or condoned by God in the Old Testament. So there's that. Jesus pretty explicitly says that the Old Testament is null and void and that his sacrifice basically resets the relationship between God and man. Most Christians who want to follow Christ and aren't looking for a smokescreen for their homophobia, misogyny understand that and use the Old Testament as more of a context to understand the teachings of Christ, not as a set of rules to follow. And just so everybody knows, the West End of Vancouver is one of the gayest neighborhoods in North America. The world. Every crosswalk is a rainbow and all of the streetlight curtains are too. I love walking there. It's a colorful and cheerful, one of my favorite neighborhoods in the city. Also a startling amount of Starbucks. Because Jesus said go out and assault people, right? You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/politics, LeBron James launches multi-million-dollar campaign to recruit poll workers. I applied to be a poll worker earlier this week. Main reason why: every election I've ever voted in has been staffed by plus 50, 60-year-old workers. I don't want our most basic civic duty to be a potential hazard to these people. If you're of good health and want to help them out, please consider signing up. Here's some information and links to your state. I did too. It was really easy and I got to swear an oath. Our registrar also needs people to staff their offices for early voting and processing absentee ballots before election day. It's a great way to help out if you've got a flexible schedule and are not high risk. I signed up last week for the same reason, except most poll workers I've noticed are 65 plus. I'm 55 and in good physical shape with no pre-exercising conditions and type O blood. Plus, I have kick-ass goggles, double-ply masks and a plastic shield for the actual voting day. So I'm set. Also, tons of alcohol hand gel. Just waiting for state training. We have to shop to save lives of the poll workers' watches, and to save our democracy. It is up to us and we can do this. Crazy that we are relying on private citizens to staff the polls and protect against election fraud. They should get out of work strippers to be poll workers. Call it polls to polls. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/uplifting news. A roller coaster fanatic was too overweight to ride his dream giga coaster. It motivated him to lose 195 pounds. Good for him. That roller coaster does look pretty epic. I remember one of my wake-up moments was when my wife and I were in Vegas on holiday. We decided to take a helicopter ride over the Grand Canyon. As part of the form you fill out beforehand, you had to declare your weight. If it was over 300 pounds, you couldn't fly, or you had to purchase 2 seats. I was considerably under that, but still quite overweight. As we waited, we witnessed some poor guy being denied a ride because he had lied about his weight on the online sign-up sheet. I vowed at that time to stop getting heavier and start reversing the unhealthy trend I had begun. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/news. White supremacists and militias have infiltrated police across US, report says. I feel like the FBI warned us about this like 40 years ago. And Zach de la Rocha warned us about this about 30 years ago. The report notes that over the years, police links to militias and white supremacist groups have been uncovered in states including Alabama, California, Connecticut, Florida, Illinois, Louisiana, Michigan, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Oregon, Texas, Virginia, Washington and West Virginia, so only in the South, out West, the Midwest and the East Coast. I hate Illinois Nazis. I live in Illinois and now it sucks knowing the crime is high and now that the police are possibly corrupt. They've been there since the beginning. It's what people are referring to whenever they're discussing institutional racism. You mean those runaway slave retrieval groups that turned into police forces led to racism? Shocked. Shocked, I said. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. George Floyd, Minneapolis. MN, ran by Democrats Jacob Blake, Kenosha. Y, ran by Democrats Rayshard Brooks, Atlanta. GAR, ran by Democrats Breonna Taylor, Louisville. CHI, ran by Democrats. All these police shootings happen in blue cities. Vote red in November. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/news. Bucks players don't take the court for NBA playoff game. The OKC Thunder, Houston Rockets and LA Lakers Portland Trail Blazers games will also be boycotted, not be played, as those teams are also striking. Thanks to you, Jim Trickington, for correcting me. Raptors vs Celtics tomorrow may be cancelled as well. There are a lot of people wondering if the NBA season is just finished at this point. Should be very interesting to see what happens. Of course it's not. There's far too much money to be made still. Which is exactly why the players, or at least the ones paid enough to afford it, must take the rest of the season off and take the pay cut to leave any impact. That way they can hit the pockets of team owners and broadcasters who have real capital and political pull, and immortalize 2020 in the annals of basketball on not COVID terms. Rescheduling the games is a sacrifice by the fans, taking the money teat out their mouths to speak clearly. That would actually be something the aristocracy can feel. I believe Trump can solve this. Send in the National Guard to play versus Homeland Security. Yeah, but National Guard really only plays defense on weekends or a couple weeks of the season. And if Homeland is down by too much, they lock the balls in a cage and won't let them out. There may be times when we are powerless to prevent injustice, but there must never be a time when we fail to protest. Elie Wiesel. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/uplifting news. Therapy Llama, Caesar the no drama Llama calms tensions at protests. There is no part of that sentence I didn't like. You like tension, drama and Caesar. Tension is good for bridges, drama is a fun class in high school, and says our salad is amazing. Meanwhile Caesar's just like, whatever, dude. You humans are fricked up. My God. And that's where we're going to end today's show. But if you like what you saw, leave a like, and if you want to see more of the RNEWS show, hit that subscribe button. As always, this has been the RNEWS show, and I'll see you tomorrow.